Welcome to Transforming Families with Randy and Lesli, the podcast where we delve into the heart of what truly matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Lesli. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories. It's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families, one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go. Hi there, and welcome to our very first podcast. We are so excited, guys.
Yes, we are.
I'm Lesli.
And I'm Randy.
And we just want to start off with some thank yous. And firstly, we just want to thank the Lord. He has been so kind and so gracious to us. Mm-hmm. And this wouldn't have happened without his vision. And we just gave him our yes. And we also want to thank a few people. Namely, we want to thank Jared Lasky. He is a dear friend, and he has so helped us put this podcast together. He's actually with us behind the scenes doing our technology today. And Jared has his own very successful podcast called Adventures in the Spirit. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be one of our guests coming up in one of our soon episodes. So stay tuned for that. And again, we just want to remind everyone that this podcast is for everyone because everyone came from a family. That's
right.
So it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, what the state of your family is. You might have a really healthy family right now. Mm-hmm. You may have, you may just be thinking about starting a family. You might be in the throes of raising a family. You're a grandparent raising kids. Mm-hmm. Our families look very different today. And also, this is for pastors and therapists, people, school counselors, anybody that works with families. Yeah. This podcast is for you. So we really want you to stay tuned.
And just like the start of any new relationship, you get to know each other. So today, we thought we would just share a little bit about who we are and our story and why it is that we're the ones bringing you this podcast on transforming families. And we currently, we're both ICF certified coaches, executive coaches. We have our own business called Cultural Architects, transforming lives and shaping culture from the inside out. And really everything that we do carries with it the transformative power of God, whether that's coaching or training in business, or we do a lot of emotional intelligence training, whatever it is we're doing, we're carrying that gift from God around helping people transform into the image of God more and more, whether that's their business or their marriage or their family, whatever it is. And then we have a nonprofit with 3 expressions. We're here in the Surprise, Arizona area. So we have Kingdom House of Prayer, Arizona, place night and day worship and prayer for the valley, for the kingdom to come. We have the Family Institute for Cultural Transformation, where we've stood up a number of classes around the family school and in leadership development, the School of Transformation. And then we have the Family Reformation Project. And this is where the podcast is really coming out of. We see the next couple of decades really in our lives focusing on restoring families to God's design, and not just theoretically or inspirationally, but practically with tools and trainings and raising up coaches. We're going to talk a lot more about that. But before we do that.
Today we just want to share a little bit about who we are and why this podcast. And so, Randy, why don't you start with your backstory?
I'll start quickly. So as we get to know each other here, I was born in Terrell, Texas. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Love them or hate them. You can't ignore them. And I moved to Iowa, Waterloo, Iowa, the home of John Deere tractors, when I was 3. And my dad was a banker. Mom was a beauty queen, literally. And just a good Christian family. My dad's parents, my grandparents, were saved at an Aimee Semple McPherson tent revival back in the 30s. and they serve God all their lives. In the local church here, I had I think now at this part of my life, the rare experience of being a part of a really healthy church where we saw the move of the Spirit of God. We had worship and prayer meetings and miracles, and it wasn't weird, at least to us. And I'm really grateful for that heritage. But even in that, I was involved in sports and athletics all through growing up, and just loved, learned so much through that. But really, all my life, I've just had a deep love and passion for Jesus. We just love, I say for Lesli too, we love him with everything. And that's really the course of our life. At 12 years old, I had an encounter with God, and he basically shared that the purpose, the calling, if you will, on my life was to work well, first of all, to love him with all, and then to serve leaders of leaders at the gates of culture, to shape culture from the inside out by demonstrating the kingdom of God. And that's the track my life took. So I went to Bible college. I trained. I was a pastor, associate pastor, youth pastor, worship leader, and then a missionary with YWAM, and then a national denominational exec. And I know a lot of this doesn't matter to some of you, but I always like to know, the background or experience of who's sharing things with me. And not to make the story terribly long, but through all of that, I had 3 children, was married, and then like happens to a lot of people, maybe you went through a divorce and a devastating time of brokenness, and the kids endured some real pain. We're going to talk a little more about that later, but I just kept leaning into God and saying, okay, God, teach me, change me, humbly. And by the way, I found that's a really good response. and continued on. And long story short, started and run a house of prayer. Introducing the Family Digital Bundle, a powerful collection designed to transform your family's journey towards healing, growth, and thriving.
At the heart of this bundle is the best-selling book and workbook, The Family Legacy, Shaping Culture from the Inside Out, written by Dr. Randall Bixby.
With insightful wisdom and practical advice, these resources offer a roadmap for building a strong family legacy that shapes the culture of generations to come.
But that's not all. Our Family Digital Bundle includes an e-course, over 9 hours of how-to videos, equipping you with practical tools and expert guidance to help your family.
Imagine your family, a place where love, growth, and connection come together. Isn't it time to build a better family? If not now, when?
Invest in your family. Order the Family Digital Bundle today by clicking the link below or visit our website, thefamilyreformationproject.com.
In spite of running hard after God and the kingdom, my family really took some hits, and I took some hits. In fact, I remarried, and in 2016 in October, wife number 2 left, and I was devastated. I was at the lowest part of my life, and my kids were really hurt, really wounded. And I just said to the Lord, I said, Lord, I can't keep the pedal to the metal like this. I have to let off the gas. And I was never going to leave him, but I was broken. My family was broken. And he said, Randy, just love your family. That's what he said. And I said, okay, I will. I'll love my family. And I woke up the next day, and I went from really the darkest place of my life to a place of hope, and started taking a lot of the exercises that we developed in training leaders and targeting them for my family. And we started to heal. And then a year later, Lesli comes into life, and I'll let her tell her own story.
Yeah, we'll go. I had a very different childhood than Randy did. Randy had this very idyllic, rural town, Iowa upbringing, and mine was much, much different. I grew up in sunny San Diego. I've got all the sun damage to prove it. And my family was riddled with alcoholism and a lot of different types of abuse. It was really chaotic. If anybody out there grew up in a home where there was addiction, you understand how confusing it can be when you walk in the door and you don't know if you're going to get a happy drunk or a mean drunk on any given day. So it was really confusing for me growing up. And eventually my parents did divorce. I was a teenager at that time, and while it was a relief in one sense, it was just more further fracturing in our family and a lot of wreckage. And I want to interject something here before I go on to the rest of my story. My mother is an amazing, incredible woman. She did her best. She took us and my brothers to Sunday school and took us to church. And my dad was a heathen in every sense of the word. And God love him. He went to be with the Lord. And at the end of his life, he did receive Jesus. So I am looking forward someday to meeting him in a redeemed state. But it's important to mention that I had people in my life. My mom went on to remarry, and I have the most amazing stepdad. We lovingly call him Papu. And they carried me through a lot. And we really want to leave you with hope today. And my mom, after the divorce of my dad, she chose to heal. And this is important because she chose to heal. It changed the trajectory of our family line. Even though we were grown-ups at the time, it shifted something in our family line. So it doesn't matter where you are in your family. If you choose to heal and you choose to change,
That's right,
and start doing your own family the way God designed, you are going to see some changes with that. And so anyway, I went into adulthood. I was a single mom at 18 years old. By the time I was 25, I was divorced with 2 children. My first husband turned out to be a pedophile, and that's the story for another podcast. And so I did the single parent routine for about a decade before I remarried. And I got some amazing bonus kids out of that marriage, but that marriage also came to a close. And believe it or not, I went off and I got married again. And you might be thinking, this lady's a train wreck. What does she know about family? And this is a true story. Randy has an actual doctorate from a real school. He's got a real PhD. And I like to share with people that I also have a PhD, but mine is from the School of Hard Knocks. Anyway, I did meet Randy in 2017, and I actually hired him to coach me through a career change. I had been in commercial insurance for almost 30 years at that point, and that's where our story picks up.
Yeah, and I can just hear it out there because I've been around. What in the world do you guys, with all these marriages, have to tell us about restoring family to God's design? It seems like you've already figured out all the wrong ways to do it. And you wouldn't be wrong. But the goodness of God, that is our story. It is of the kindness and the restoration and the redemption of Jesus Christ. He is the hero of our story, not us. The only thing we did is keep running after him and saying, do whatever you need to do. Teach us whatever you need. We love you. We're going to follow you and he did the rest. And frankly, the restoration that's come since that time with the creation of the family work, the book, the workbook, the e-course, the raising up a family, all of it started because we wanted to heal our own family.
That's our big why. Why this podcast? Why now? Because we've experienced, while Randy had this really charming upbringing and I didn't so much, we still in our lifetime experienced very similar pain, like most people, divorce, early
infidelity,
death, betrayal, addictions,
false accusations.
So again, and we share this with you because we really want to stress this podcast is for everybody. We all come from different backgrounds, but we all face the same challenges. And really, it is through our pain that this work was birthed. And Romans 8:28 is our life verse. And we know that God works all things for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purposes. And if you're a believer, you're called. If you love God, he's going to work all the things in your life for the good. And so we come to you with some hard experience, and we've also, Jesus is the hero of our story. This is how we like to sum it up. Our story is about redemption, restoration, and the kindness of God.
Truth.
Yeah. Tell them a little bit about the Family Reformation Project, Love.
So we began doing these modules, these experiential, how to forgive, how to love, how to self-govern, how to heal, inner healing. And as we began to put them into practice with our kids at first.
And we didn't start this work with our kids, and we're a blended family, obviously. We have
they're 5
all children. They're all adults. We did not start this work until our kids were grown-ups.
And to be quite honest, one of my daughters, my middle daughter, was serving God. She was a missionary in YWAM. My son, the oldest, was a Satanist at this point. And my youngest daughter was agnostic, I believe she would say. She would say atheist, but I think agnostic. And that was how badly our family were fractured.
Yeah.
And as we leaned in, they joined right in. These exercises, these modules, the approach that God led us to, they were able to be a part of that. And they were able to get family identity and get him. Now, my son had a glorious deliverance, supernatural coming back to the Lord. He is on fire for God. He's a part of our family work. Just married a wonderful wife, a Canadian that he met in YWAM. And, our youngest daughter is thriving. We just believe the best for her, but things aren't all perfect yet. That's the state, but we are leaning in every day to intentionally build our family back to God's design. So I went to him in this process. What was your design? And I mean, I was trained in theology. I was a pastor, worked with families, but I felt like it was a brand new revelation about the way that God designed families. As I dug in, I found in the scriptures 6 different, what I call now protocols, the ways that God builds family to design. And we created about 60 exercises. And it's important that it's experiential, because the experience of it with your children trains them in how to lead them with their kids. So we get that generational flow going of how do you train your kids to do family as God designed. We're going to talk more about that later. But I want to bring up, before we're done here,
World Changers.
Yeah. So in 2019, in the spring, there was a meeting in Washington, D.C. of World Changers. So these were the who's who in the Christian zoo. These are over 400 kingdom leaders from some of the largest ministries, most significant ministries. Not that that's important, but they're in the know about what God is doing right now in the kingdom from all spheres, business people, you know their names. We weren't able to be there. We had a previous commitment, but we had our eyes on that meeting. And what they did is they pulled all of these leaders. So imagine a lot of the people that are carrying a lot of water, so to speak, right now for the kingdom advance in the earth. And they asked them the 4 Peter Drucker questions. They asked them, right now in the kingdom, across the spheres, what's working? And they did real-time polling, and they got the results, like political polling. And they asked, what's missing, what's confusing, and what's next? And the number one response overwhelmingly to the question of what is missing in the 7 mountain strategy, the kingdom strategy, right, to see heaven come to earth for real, like Jesus said, like God designed, the number one thing is missing was a comprehensive, systematic strategy for the family mountain. That's not to say there aren't great family ministries out there that aren't doing good work, but a comprehensive, systematic strategy to take the families in America specifically and around the world today, where they're at today in our culture, facing the problems and challenges and really the fall of a culture that's resulted from the fall of the family. How do we take that family today and bring the kingdom to them so that they can be healed and restored and know who they are and know why they're here and know God's plan for them, and then be able to do it and then show up in life and in leadership when they get to those places at the gates of culture, like the kingdom people they are, with the Spirit of the living God living in them and them leading out of that reality.
Yeah. And the truth is, we believe that all of culture flows downstream from family.
That's
That
right.
doesn't mean we don't do the work to get people into Christians, into the government and into our education and into the arts and media, all the mountains. But the truth is, the people that are running, making decisions in these spheres, these mountains, they're people that just came from families.
Mhm.
And the church, by and large, our generation in particular, we really are guilty of abdicating the spiritual formation of our children to our local churches.
Mhm.
Gosh, as long as we get them to Sunday school and they're in their youth groups and they're going to be fine.
Or the public schools.
Or the public
Let's just send them
schools.
there to get educated, and we can see the demise and what's happened there.
Yeah. And so we've got what we've got. We've got college age kids leaving home and going off to school, and they've left the faith in droves. And that's just what is.
And God's working, God's moving. The Spirit of God is in the work right now, being poured out on all flesh. We see this. If you're paying attention, you see this, right? There's a hunger, there's renewal, or some people call it revival. But the Spirit of God is moving in the earth. And people are waking up to, hey, God is in the business of restoring, the restoration of all things. Like, hey, it's getting real bad out there, but it's also getting real good. Yeah. That there is a shaking in the church, and the things that can be shaken are being shaken so they fall off, so that the bride is pure and spotless and ready and engaged, getting ready for the bridegroom. And so we are excited for how God has allowed us to be alive at this hour in history. We're actually grateful for the pain that we've gone through, because it has taught us how God can restore and heal. And now that's what we're sharing with others. When we share the podcast, we're going to have experts on as it relates to family. We're going to bring a lot of the family work in practical tools, but the heart of it all is to restore the family to God's design. So listen, we want to leave it with this. No matter what state your family is in, no matter how hopeless, no matter how dark, you say, oh, you don't understand. Well, you might be surprised. And even if we don't, we know the one who does. And we see his patterns and his methods for how to restore relationships, how to make disciples of our children, how to get them full of the Spirit of God and in the way of God, so that they grow up as powerful leaders in the world when it's their time on the clock. And we want to give you hope. It's not too late.
It's not too late.
Your family can and will be restored. So we look forward to our next episode. We are going to break down a lot more specifically what is the Family Reformation Project. That really is the container for a lot of this family work that we're going to be bringing to you. So we look forward to you. Please download, share, follow, help us get the word out around families. We really see this as something unique in this hour for the family that God is doing. And remember this: whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Lesli. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3, wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end.